Welcome to Takeaways, Life Lessons Learned. We've got a very special guest today, Mr. Brad Howard. Brad, I read your bio. I've got it here. I'm going to read it to you. A serial entrepreneur in the online retail. Serial entrepreneur and online retail veteran. That means you've been doing whatever you've been doing for quite a while. So you have over a dozen successful startups to your credit, including a few flops. So I'm curious to hear about some of the flops. In 2021, you had a successful exit from your core business, Trend Nation, that you were building up for 15 years. It was one of the largest Amazon private label platforms. What is a Amazon private label platform?
Good question. Amazon private label platform is multiple Amazon native brands. So we had 9 or 10 different brands. So we had a kitchen brand, we had a men's textile or men robe brand, women's robe brand, we had a novelty pajama line, we had a toy line, we had a glow stick line. So these are native brands that we created, products that we manufactured, sourced, owned, brought to market, and developed a brand name behind those or some brand traction, and became an expert at building and launching products and brands on Amazon. We ended up collecting a series of these brands. We bought some, we built some, and built what we call the platform. So when we ultimately went to market, we weren't just a products company. We were a platform of multiple products through multiple categories. We were a system of identifying products using data. We were a system of sourcing these products and bringing them to market, and ultimately buying low and selling high, and bringing products to market that consumers wanted.
Sounds very complex.
Ultimately, we sourced products, we sold them, we did it on Amazon, and we did it in a very formulaic way. And we did it in a way that was very interesting to the market and interesting enough to a private equity firm to be able to take us out after 15 years.
Wow. So curious to hear more about that, but I'm going to continue with your bio here. We've got some more stuff to talk about. Numerous local, regional, and national awards you've won. 30 under 30, 40 under 40. Are you going to get 50 under 50?
Yeah, is that a thing? I don't know.
You've also led multiple companies to the Inc. 500 list. For someone who might not know, what is the Inc. 500 list?
Inc. 500 is Inc. magazine, publishes an annual magazine of the top 5,000 fastest growing private companies in the country. And you submit to be part of it. And then they rank you based upon your 3-year trajectory of growth. So not 1 year, but minimum of 3 years in business. And you have to meet certain criteria. And then they rank you nationwide. And so we were on that list, I think, like 6 or 7 times in a row. And 3 years we were in the top 500. And 1 year we were the fastest growing company in Nevada.
Mazel tov.
You know what? I appreciate that. Thank you.
Currently, you're the chairman of the board for Channel Key, which is an e-commerce agency employing 70 dedicated professionals. What is exactly
Channel
what it
Key
sounds like?
It's an agency, a digital agency that helps brand owners and manufacturers sell on Amazon.
So chairman of the board, is this a volunteer thing? Is this not a volunteer thing?
No, I chairman of the board means the board reports into me, and that I am the largest shareholder in the company, and company's been running very successfully with an awesome entrepreneur, CEO for quite a while, who's done some amazing things. And he's grown a great company, probably in a way different and better fashion than I could have ever grown it, in a service space. And he's been my partner for a while. And I'm the chairman. He's the CEO and president. He calls the shots. But when it comes to major decisions, it goes to the board.
Very cool. So you also fulfill the role of managing partner at Howard Family Ventures. Is this your family office?
That's our I'm not sure I call it a family office. It's our small conglomerate. We've done some successful in a few.
Just your immediate family, or is this with other siblings?
It's just our immediate family. And, so it's really just trying to, deploy family assets to grow and hopefully leave some assets behind for the children and for the community. But it's really just taking money that we've made over the years, and mostly tech plays, and deploying it into a series of different areas, and tinkering with entrepreneurship and building real estate portfolio, and just trying to do good things.
Very nice. More stuff about you. You've held various sales and marketing positions. So this is when you're an employee, I guess. Priceline.com, Bank of America, Abbott Laboratories. You hold a BSBA from the Ohio State University and earned Your EO Executive MBA from MIT. What is EO?
EO is Entrepreneurs Organization. I would never have been able to qualify to get into MIT in the traditional route. But I was a successful accredited entrepreneur, and through an organization I was involved with, they had a program that put together an MIT class of 80 students every year for over a decade. And I went to a multi-year EMBA program at MIT with some amazing people, with MIT professors through a rigorous course. And it was a transformational moment for me personally and in my career.
You mentioned doing good things. In the category of doing good things, you're a board member of Young Presidents Organization, YPO. You sit on numerous nonprofit boards. I know of one specifically, Jewish Nevada. You're currently the campaign chair and inevitably the future president of that organization.
I do sit on a few nonprofit boards. I'm a proud member of the Boy Scouts of America board. I'm an Eagle Scout, and I love the organization. They've gone through some adversity in the last few years. And then, as you mentioned, I am on the board of Jewish Nevada here locally, and I very much like my position and help seeing the community grow.
Any comment on the presidency?
I'm trying to add value where I think I can add the most value. And
very diplomatic answer. Very nice.
I want to see the organization succeed. I want to see the community thrive, and I'm going to put myself in a spot that I think I can help the organization the most, not necessarily in a figurehead role that, people want to fill. So for me, it's important that I can provide value, and not get dragged into things that detract value for me personally, and also I'm not the best to put myself into. So nothing's off the table, but right now,
there it is. Yeah. So when you're not working, you enjoy family time with your wife and kids, traveling, and tinkering with coin-operated gadgets. Can't let that one go.
Uh-huh.
Please describe what are coin-operated gadgets.
Yeah, you're making me blush with this bio, man. You're going deep on it. Coin-operated gadgets. When I was a little kid, my brother or my dad ended up coming home with a pinball machine, and we had some old broken down 1970s pinball machine in the basement. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And it's like, how can you get an arcade in your house? And I had some rich friends that had one or two games, and I'm like, man, if I ever make it one day, I'm going to have some arcade games. And so I moved to Vegas in 2009. Small e-commerce business. By 2011, we were just crushing it. And everyone was not crushing it around me. And so I was a troll on Craigslist, and anybody who posted a pinball for sale, I would blindly offer you $1,000. And before I know it, I had like 10 of them at my house because I was just buying everyone's pinball machine that they were moving out of town in 2010 and 11. So I collected a bunch of arcade games, and I have an arcade at my house, and it became a hobby. And then I tried to start a business with one of my kids that didn't go the totally direction I wanted. So we pivoted. And now
is that one of your few flops?
Actually, that one never really got off the ground. That one went, that was a straight pivot. So sometimes you head down a path, you invest time and money with an idea you think you're going to run with, and then you realize it's the wrong direction, but you make a pivot and make it successful or unsuccessful. So, that was a running down the wrong path, caught our mistake, redesigned the business plan with professionals versus children, and actually launched a business and successfully launched what is the largest claw crane arcade in Las Vegas right now, fashion show mall, called the Fantasy Claw Arcade. We opened it in the middle of May. Got some great entrepreneur partners.
Like last month?
It's been open for a little bit over a month.
Wow.
It's been performing better than expectations. And
Claw Arcade,
Japanese inspired claw arcade.
Is it just little claw machines in there, or other stuff too?
It is majority claw machines. It's 90% claw machines. Every game's a chance game that you can win a prize with the exact pull of the thing. You're not collecting tickets to build towards you can win every single time. It's a game of chance. And it's actually interesting because in Japan, it's a very established and built out culture. You can go to certain parts of Tokyo, and there'll be thousands of crane arcades, like thousands of them. I mean, like 5-level buildings with 4 on each level, and building after building, and they're different unique machines, and they're claws, and they have everything from plush, everything to sex toys, and it's targeting all audiences, and most of the people aren't kids, and that's what happens when the society evolves. They want entertainment. And so Japan is a little bit ahead of a lot of cultures. And so we see that need for, shopping, entertainment, blend, put in, gathering spots. And so I think we think our thesis is that there's a ripe opportunity to bring claw arcades to the U.S. In a major way, and we think it's a very early market. So it's interesting. It's another trend we see that just threw a few bucks at and took a hobby into a small business.
I'm going to come back to that. That's very interesting. There's a little irony here with your life that I'll point out, but let me finish the bio and we'll move into some more conversations. So Brad, you're a businessman, a venture capitalist, a real estate investor, a world traveler, a YPOer, a philanthropist, a family man, a claw coin operated guy. Did I leave anything out?
You did great. I'm sure we could go on, but you hit the main points.
All right. So those are my words. Tell us more in your words. Who are you and what do you do?
You did a great job comprising it. I mean, I would say that I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a community member, I'm a leader, and I just in general, I think I'm focusing on trying to leave the world a better place than when I came into it.
So father, husband, tell me about your family.
I got 3 great kids, a 7, 10, and 12-year-old. They all go to school at the Meadows. My wife actually just got a real estate license recently. She was a co-founder in our one of our main businesses that we exited, Trend Nation. So she's an entrepreneur as well. And she's the, head of our family and we're, been in Vegas since 2009. We've celebrated, 15 years here in Vegas and, family life is good.
Originally from Ohio.
Born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. Went to the Ohio State University in Columbus, is where I met my wife. But yeah, I'm a Buckeye, true and true.
And so the journey from there to Vegas, fill in the gaps.
Got married 2007, 2009. My wife was itching for a house. She wanted to buy a house in Upper Arlington, which is in Columbus, Ohio. And her aspirations, dreams were above my pay grade and budget. We had a small e-commerce business and I couldn't deliver the value in the house she wanted. My brother is a personal injury attorney here in Las Vegas. It was 2009. The stock market was tanking. He was doing well in law and he was like, you guys are newlyweds. You have no kids. Come to Vegas. Everyone's getting foreclosed on. You can buy your dream house that you can't buy in Ohio. And so we thought to ourselves, why not check out Vegas? We would never want to have a family there, but for a couple of years, we're newlyweds. If we can buy our dream house, and lo and behold, we came out, looked at Vegas, and in July 2009, we moved here. We bought a foreclosure or a short sale. I think we bought like for 40 cents on the dollar. We ended up buying a house for $220,000 that was 3,600 square feet and a pool and a hot tub and a 3-car garage and basically Summerlin. And so we picked up the
house you're in now that I've been to?
No,
that was a different house.
Yeah, a different house. That was kind of near the Desert Shores area, kind of Pueblo borderline, right where the Meadow School is. We still own that house. So we moved into that house. We moved our small e-commerce business, my wife and one employee. We moved into that place. Got hit with some major adversity, cleared through that adversity, which we can unpack. We got a major patent lawsuit that almost closed our business after we just moved here, which was really pretty crazy. And then our business just took off from there and, we bounced around the city and we've been here ever since 15 years later. We now love the city and embrace it and have kids here and have no intention on moving, and we could live anywhere in the world and we choose to live here.
Very cool. We will unpack that. I took note of it, but before we get too deep into this show is called Takeaways, and it's about takeaways for people who have influenced me. You've been an influence in my life, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
A positive one.
Good.
Not just negative, Brad.
I appreciate that.
So I ask everybody, I'm curious to hear your answer. What's been the single most influential thing or event in your life that has defined and shaped you the most?
So I think about that in different ways. So I think there's like moments that like scared me straight that I think I look back at and say, like, if I didn't have that moment, I wouldn't be where I am today. I'm not sure if I look at that as an inspirational moment or a scared straight moment. So like I'll give you one of those like, scared straight moments because I think it's an interesting story. I started my college career at West Virginia University. I graduated at The Ohio State, but I spent my first 2 years in Morgantown, West Virginia. Most people don't know that. And my sophomore year, I was very entrepreneurial as a kid, as I am now. And I found out how to make New Jersey fake IDs. And so I was living off campus on this fun street with lots of college kids, and I perfected a New York State driver's license, and I just started printing them, and I just started minting money, and I would have 20 or 30 guys or gals come to my apartment off campus and charge them 50 or 60 bucks and bring me some beer, and I'll give you a discount. And I was just running 1,500, 2,000 bucks a day through the place, just making these IDs, and life was great. And I remember when I was a kid, one of my like early teachers was like, "You're either going to be really rich or you're going to be in jail." And I like, remember that. And then like, I'm like selling these IDs and everything's great. And I'm like, I don't know, 3 months into school. And I mean, I worked on keggers and I got a car, and every night we're going out and having steak dinners. Like we were not, struggling. And then one day, one of my buddies who actually had a house a few doors down came over, and he was like, "Dude, I had the weirdest thing happen to me yesterday. Someone came to my door, knocked on it, and asked me," and they showed an FBI badge. It was an FBI training facility about an hour away from Morgantown. And they were asking why there's so much activity at your house. And they didn't know I knew you. And I was like, "I don't know. I know what you're talking about." And he's like, "Dude, they're watching you." And I was like, holy shit. And I had this like scared straight moment. And I was like, I'm going to get toast. Like this, like there's no reason for me to do this. Like I don't need the money. And so like I loaded up my computer and my printer and my paper, and I jumped in my Toyota Corolla or Camry, and I drove 3 hours out of town, and I dumped that shit in a dumpster in the middle of nowhere at a highway, and came back and said, "I'm never doing it again." And so like that was one of the moments that just kind of scared me, like inspirational. I don't know, but like that moment didn't happen. That warning didn't happen. Like I could easily be in jail right now.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's you're not a bad guy. You're not, you're just saw an opportunity, entrepreneurially figured out the technology at that age, and here we go. And then you're faced with the consequences, or what could be the consequences, and had I guess your own moral equilibrium tested and answered.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's a great story.
Yeah, it was one of a few defining moments, but definitely a scared straight moment. I ended up subsequently leaving West Virginia that year and transferring to Ohio State. I had a few other challenges at that school, but that's besides the point.
And so you go to college. How'd you get into what you were doing ultimately with e-commerce?
So I graduated Ohio State. I was in entrepreneurship. I got a bunch of job offers, actually accepted a job, wrote a business plan, placed in a business plan competition, got the eye of some investors, and I turned down all these jobs, and I started my first business, which was not in e-commerce. So I started my first entrepreneurial business 7 days after I graduated undergraduate. I literally had the Dow Chemical credit card and a $60,000 offer back in 2002, which was a ton of money, and a corporate credit card in my hand. And I literally just mailed it back and turned their job down to make nothing. And I took my business plan, which was truck side advertising, which was logistics and marketing, my 2 degrees. And I was like, I'm going to sell billboards on the sides of trucks, not mobile billboard trucks, but delivery trucks. Mm-hmm. And, silly idea. I raised some money, built it for 5 years, ended up basically selling it for pennies on the dollar to the investor who bought it who invested in the beginning part. It was a great experience. And my first real forte into entrepreneurship and taking people's money and working with VCs. And I'm glad I did it, but not very profitable.
When did you work in these companies that are in your bio?
Oh, by the way, you asked about tech. I started the first e-commerce business in April 2007.
So that's 5 years after this.
That's 5 years after I jumped into a series of entrepreneurial endeavors. So I started with this truck side advertising company. I went through a period where we then thought we could start a peer-to-peer online lending platform. We thought that the consumer credit markets were kind of janky. Partnered with somebody. We launched a company called Fismo, which was peer-to-peer lending, raised $1 million, ended up hitting the market at the wrong time, realized that we had to be a registered bank to actually pull off what the hell we were doing. We needed to raise $25 million more. The economy wasn't the right time to raise it. We then pivoted and said, instead of it being a peer-to-peer marketplace, we think we can actually create the next greatest Craigslist, big pivot, pay for free marketplace. I explain if you want to go deeper there, raise some more money. While that was going on, I started dating this young lady. Everywhere we went, I was paying for everything. I was frustrated. I was upset. I was like, why don't you make some money? And she's like, I don't know. I'm getting my master's. How do I make money? And I was like, you should sell something online. And so with her, we found a product and I coached her how to sell the product, and she started selling them online while she was getting her master's.
Just so you could avoid a couple dinner bills.
So I could avoid a couple dinner bills. She figured if she could sell 10 products a day for $10 a piece, make $100 a day, that she could contribute to the bills. She had pushed my roommate out and convinced him that she was going to hurt him if he didn't move out. So he moved out, she moved in. So now she's living with me and she's not paying the bills and she's getting her master's with some lame excuse of getting her master's. So whatever, we found a product. I coached her how to sell the product and she's like, oh shit. And that product business we started with, which was a purse hook business, ended up spinning into 8 or 9 other brands, which ended up becoming Trend Nation years and years later. So
this young lady is
now my wife.
Okay.
And she's my wife, and she successfully exited that business, and her purse hook hobby business that started as a side project became her main job. She got her master's and she didn't even work in her master's, did this full time. I then joined her full time, and the two of us worked full time together for over 10, 12 years together before she retired. And
so really it's her business that you worked for her. Is that what you said?
We co-founded it together.
I don't know. I think you just said that you coached her to start this thing.
We started it together. And then we ended up having a couple different businesses that merged together. But yes, her and I did start the first e-commerce business.
I'm ribbing you a little bit. I didn't know any of this as far as the details.
She's very accomplished. She's very accomplished.
So what was interesting when you talked about this claw business, I'm assuming that you're stocking these claw machines with e-commerce products.
We're mixing the assortment. The assortment's not where it needs to be, but the goal is to have an assortment where at least 15% is non-plush. It's cards, vintage cards, old baseball cards, Pokemon cards, nostalgic prizes, some electronics, food, candy, things that target adult audiences, non-plush, including gift cards and other things. And then, 85% plush for adults and for kids.
Plush is like, I'm thinking of like a stuffed animal.
Yeah. Stuffed animal of some sort.
Do you get those on Amazon?
We usually source those in much larger groupings. So no, we don't source from Amazon.
All right. So you might be blowing up my irony theory here, but here's the irony theory. I'm in commercial real estate, as you know. Commercial real estate has different product types: office, retail, industrial, etc. Retail has gone through this, Amazon proofing. Like when you underwrite a retail property, you look at the tenants to see if they're internet proofed, basically, because you can buy stuff on the internet. What do you need the brick and mortar for? Yep. And now here you are coming full circle with brick and mortar stores that are Amazon proof because it's entertainment and combining shopping and all that.
Totally full circle.
Isn't that great?
We totally were trying to kill brick and mortar, and now we're going after brick and mortar. But I will tell you that I realized in that process, brick and mortar is not going anywhere. And I also realized that consumer shopping has changed, and what they're looking to do in malls and centers is different than what it used to be. And so there's a blend of people wanting entertainment and shopping mixed. And there's great examples online that people are doing it, but there's very few examples of in store. So what we're trying to do with the Claw Arcade is not make it a kid's place, but make it a place that you go in and you transact, meaning that there's a payback. We have a purpose. We want you to win. We want you, when you leave the store, if you spend $20, to walk out with $20 in value of merchandise. Now, the merchandise may have cost us $4, right? But like in most stores, you're going to pay a big markup and you just accept the price you pay. So our goal is to give you the exact value you put in the machines, and you feel good that you won and you leave as a winner. And we sold you $4 in merch for $20, of which the store next to us does, but you don't leave feeling like you won. You leave like you felt like you got fleeced because you overpaid for something. And so we're gamifying this retail, and we're trying to push it even beyond that. But really, it's the gamification of retail that we're going after. We're calling it a claw arcade. But ultimately, when we get to where we want to be with the prizes and the assortments and the games, you're going to walk in as an adult and hopefully find $25 or $30 of merch you would have bought anyways, but you can kind of have fun with it and interact and be entertained.
And at the same time, I'm doing that. My kid's on the other side with the product and games that they want to win.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, listen, as a kid of the arcades, almost every time the games that people have interest in are the claw games.
Mm-hmm.
Even adults, if the prizes are entertaining or interesting to you, you're going to go over and look at it. If I have one that's just $10 gift cards and there's a 20% payback and you believe you've got a chance, it's better than a slot machine. You've got a 1 in 5 chance of winning it from the programming standpoint. And you believe you've got an edge or can line it up. You're throwing $1 or $2 token in to win 10. That's a good exchange.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good exchange. And it's interesting crossover.
So talk more about this. How'd you get into this? Aside from it being a hobby, the partner you talked about.
Yeah, this is this is one of the companies. I've started 3 companies this year. This is one. This is the only
in
one
2024, you started 3 companies.
I've co-founded 3 companies.
Got it.
I am trying to not get a full-time job. So when I'm starting businesses now or investing in businesses, I'm trying to either be a minority stake where I'm not the majority, where, someone else is calling the shots, but I can have influence or add value in some capacity. Or I'm trying not to bring partners in, one of the two, or go really heavy where it's very clear I'm the owner, and then have someone come in as the managing partner, because I really not looking to run. So, started a supplement business this year, with a influencer who's got a big following, who should be able to spin up a supplement line, which will be an interesting line. And then I'm working with two students, international students, that are absolute hustlers and killers. And they're based in Argentina, and they work harder than basically anyone I know. And they work for peanuts, and they found a really interesting niche in wood products, and they want to sell them through marketplaces, and I can be uniquely helpful to them. So I help them.
What kind of wood products?
Cake stands, trays, coasters,
cutting boards.
They're not there yet.
Listen, I need a nice, manly, thick, big cutting board I could slap a brisket on with the grooves that isn't a fortune. Can you set me up with one of those?
We'll it's on the roadmap. When we do have them, I'll make sure to, if you need any pajama costumes or glow sticks, I've got plenty in my house. But as far as the wood, we don't have those at the moment.
All right, you got to work on that for me.
We're working on, yeah. So I got a couple of businesses. The claw business is one of 3 we launched this year. But again, we're very opportunistic, looking at deals where we can add value. I'm looking at an automotive business right now. Interesting. Looking at, I just did a hard money loan deal. Again, just looking for places that I can add value.
How do these deals come to you, or how do you go looking for them?
Deals come through a myriad of different ways, some through friends, some through business groups, some through consulting projects, some I find through social media. Some people just know that I'm, looking to deploy capital locally, and I get referred in, or brokers. People know that I'm looking to do certain things. So again, opportunistic. I'm an entrepreneur, and I love Las Vegas, and trying to do more things locally here with great entrepreneurs.
All right. So, you were on this trajectory of how you got into the business that you are. You started working for your wife. You mentioned you guys almost got taken down with a lawsuit, patent lawsuit.
So we started in 2007 with a women's products business, my wife and I, and then a friend of mine had a cufflink business. So we had these 2 accessory products businesses, moved those to Vegas in 2009. We had 2 product lines. We were one of the largest sellers of men's cufflinks. God forbid we were sold that during the great pandemic. We would have been toast. And we had purse hooks, and purse hooks were the dominant seller.
Purse hooks,
right?
These are the things that they put on the table and hang their purse on.
That's correct. You pull a folding one out of your purse, or you pull a J-shaped one out of your purse, hook it on the table, and you hang your handbag. We sold them for between 10 or between $8 and $20 a piece, and we were one of the largest sellers in the country of purse hooks, doing I don't know, $1 million or $2 million a year in purse hooks. And one of the purse hooks, we just moved from Columbus. And so it was July of 2009, just moved into our spanking house, new house, or new to us. And Melanie had a friend at Victoria's Secret. And before we left, we pitched Victoria's Secret on a gift with purchase, a GWP program. And they bought onto it. And they wrote us a $750,000 purchase order that had $400,000 in profit. And all we had to do was deliver a large amount of these folding purse hooks with their logo on them to their warehouse within a certain number of days. It was like the gods opened up. It was amazing. Like, we're getting ready to hit a $400,000 profit. This one deal, this was going to further propel us. And then in August, we got a letter in the mail from someone who claimed to have the patent on the folding purse hook. And they had the folding purse hook patent. They had reached out a few months earlier and were like, we don't think you have anything here. Well, they did have a folding purse hook patent, and they sent us a lawsuit. And so we were like, oh, this is terrible. We have this huge purchase order. We're going to make a bunch of money. What do we do? And then half of our revenue was the folding purse hook. So then half of our revenue got distorted. And so we have this business that drops in revenue to a couple $100,000. My wife's got a master's in school counseling. All my business contacts are in Ohio. It's like August or September of 2009. And I have a lawsuit. I can't sell half the products I have. We moved cross country and we know nobody but my brother. And we're like literally on our porch out back, like almost in tears. Like what the hell do we do? And I'm like, okay, I got a great idea. Let's give the woman half the profits that has a patent. Let us cut a licensing deal. She can have $200,000 of the $400,000 profit. Let us sell the purse hooks. Let's move on. Called her up. She hung up on me. She was so furious, so mad that she had mailed us a few months later telling us to stop, and we blew her off. She was so mad. She just wanted to grind an axe. So we hired a lawyer. The lawyer made no progress. We called. I did research.
Because now you're like,
we hit a wall. We hit a wall.
A retainer you had to pay on top of that and still getting nowhere.
Writing her a letter saying, I'll give you $250,000 in cash plus a licensing fee. We're a small business. We got a big fish on the line. And she just didn't care. And she just didn't care. And she just said, basically, F you. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you have. You guys, we want you gone. You're infringing on our space, this purse hook territory, and we want you guys gone. And so it was a really dark moment. I mean, it was a terribly dark moment. We had to sit there and say, what the hell do we do? And we looked at what we were doing as a business, and we said, we sell a bunch of things on Amazon and eBay. And we know those marketplaces well. And we're selling women's accessories, and we're selling to women that are 60 plus that have household income of $70,000. And we're in Vegas. So let's start going to the trade show. Let's start bringing on more products that target that audience and sell them in the same capacity to fill in for the revenue we lost. And so we told Victoria's Secret we couldn't issue the PO. We stopped selling folding purse hooks. I think I was paying myself $30,000 a year in this house. My wife was maybe making $30,000. We were working from home, living from home, basically never left the house, shipping orders out of our house. And we started sourcing out of trade shows here in Vegas. And it turned out that was a pivotal moment for us, because instead of dropping large amounts of money and buying large amounts of inventory from China and waiting to bring in large amounts of inventory and then warehousing them and going through a weird cash flow cycle, we were able to buy inventory on terms with vendors. And then we decoded Amazon very early. And if you go to any Amazon page and you scroll down below the product description, there's an Amazon sales rank. That's been there for 20 years. Okay. Literally, it's been there for 20 years. And most people don't even know it exists today as shoppers on Amazon. And that code or that number associates with how much velocity of sales are going through a product. So we knew what that meant because we were selling hundreds of products. So we knew a 2,000 rank in clothing was $50,000 a year. We knew a 20,000 rank was $5,000 a year. We knew a $200,000 rank was no money a year. So we knew every product had a label, and we could decode how much revenue. The lower the rank, the more revenue. The closer to one, the closer to the best-selling product in a category.
Oh, I see.
The more money it sells.
Okay.
So in the clothing and accessory category, the category we competed, if anything was better than 40,000 rank, we knew it was a $40,000 a year product or $3,000 a month in revenue, the way we were thinking about it. So when we went to the trade show, we gave everybody iPads. And you went booth by booth in 2009, 2010, booth by booth. We'd go to your booth, search your brand name on Amazon, search through your catalog, find the gem, and write your purchase order. And the vendor was like, who the hell are you? What are you guys talking about? And we'd go to booth, and I went to Fossil, and I tried to write a $100,000 order. And they're like, whoa, 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 who the hell are you? And we're like, we're Cuff Crazy. They're like, what's Cuff Crazy? We're like, we're a large cuffling seller. They're like, we're effing Fossil, bro. Like, you sell cufflinks? And like, oh, we also have this purse hook website called Silverhooks. They're like, what? And they're like, we're never going to sell to you. We're like, oh shit. We went to Nike. They wouldn't sell to us. We got a few smaller brands to sell to us. Kenneth Cole was one of those brands, and we started crushing it. And our revenue went from 600,000 to $1 million, 3 million. And we were just buying off of these catalogs. And we realized the bigger brands wouldn't sell to us unless we sounded big. So at that point in time, we hired our 4th and 5th employee. I had a friend from Ohio that was a CTO level person. I said, listen, I want you to come in as a partner, but we need to go ahead and launch some new websites. So I bought walletnation.com and I bought baglane.com, these generic websites. I'm like, we're going to launch these sites. We're going to do a press release. You're going to throw up a whole bunch of brands of wallets and bags and belts in the small leather good category on both these 2 sites. And then I'm going to walk the Magic Trade Show, which is the biggest fashion show in the country. And I'm going to walk to every booth that said no to me. And I'm going to tell them I'm Wallet Nation and I'm Bag Lane. How could they not sell to me? They're absolute idiots. And I'm going to write big purchase orders out of the gate. And that's what I did. We launched a press release. We launched Wallet Nation. The site looked great. We had all kinds of brands that we didn't have authorized abilities to sell, but we knew we could buy them off Macy's. So if anyone actually bought them, we could fulfill the order. Mm-hmm. Walk the Trade Show, and Fossil and Tommy Hilfiger and Adidas and Ted Baker and Ralph Lauren and Betsy Johnson and Steve Madden and Trafalgar, and the list goes on. And basically every small leather good brand in America started selling to us because we had these Wallet Nation and Bag Lane. Some people, I remember someone saying to me, they're like, "You're Bag Lane?" "Oh yeah." And then Hobo sold to us, and like, "Oh, you guys are Wallet Nation." I'm like, "Yeah, and you guys got some wallets here. We want to carry your wallets." And so we completely pump faked the market, but we knew the sales rank equated to sales. Mm-hmm. We knew how to sell on the Amazon channel, and they were clueless. And so we ended up having 200 web domains to go after and target certain product lines and brands. And we scaled this business up from a private label business of purse hooks and cufflinks in 2007, 8, 9. We became a fully diversified accessory business. And actually from 2007 to 2015, we went from 200 products to 16,000 products that we warehoused, and we drop shipped another 250,000 products. And we went through this huge evolutionary growth curve up until 2015 or 16, where Brad's vision got too large and the strategy was wrong. And the wheels fell off the bus when we tried to grow from 19 to $35 million. And it was the first year we got clobbered with too much inventory. We tried to expand too much. We lost money, and we had to fire half the staff. And at that point, we realized our strategy was wrong. And we could no longer sell other people's products. We had gone from all our own products to all everybody else's products. And then we realized that we were in a bad spot. And we realized that we had no value in the market, and we were just a distributor getting ready to be slaughtered. And so we reinvented our business. And from 2006 to 2021, we pivoted back to private label, became 100% private label, or almost 100% private label, before we ended up exiting to private equity.
So you're clearly an expert in Amazon. Or what do you call it? E-commerce distribution?
We call it marketplace retailing.
Marketplace retailing.
That's right. So if you say, "Hey, Brad, help me build your website," don't talk to me. I could help you. I'm deadly. But became best in the world at how to sell on Amazon specifically, how to market, how to communicate, how to list, how to product optimize, how to handle customer service, how to handle logistics, how to handle pick, pack, ship, how to maximize every square inch of Amazon. We became amazing at it. We became very good. And at one point in 2017, I had 2 partners that came along, 3 partners, my wife, myself, and 2 other gentlemen joined the journey. We were 4 partners in the business. And one of my partners came to me, and said he was done being the bridesmaid. He was done being number 2. He wanted to be number 1. And it was a really interesting time because I had a partner who was telling me, if we don't figure something out, I'm going to leave, and staying in this organization is not going to work for me anymore because I don't want to be in your shadows. Mm-hmm. And that was a really big moment for me, is to realize, and I think in my personal journey, where, realizing that we needed to create a space for this person to flourish, and we need another company to do it. And so he came up with an idea for a new co, and I thought it was great. And it focused on our expertise of Amazon. Instead of us buying the product and warehousing it and selling it, it was to open an Amazon consulting shop and to have will help you build your own store versus we run our own stores. And so we splintered that business off. We we're able to
Again, back to the
create a deal.
origin of what you did with Melanie.
Correct.
Just much more sophisticated. So now you've spun off another business.
We spun off Channel Key, which is
That's
the
Channel
agency.
Key. That's what you talked
We spun
about.
that off in 2017.
Right.
So now that company's been running now for 7 years.
This is a business that helps other people do what you guys did, essentially.
That's it. We build stores for other people. We build beachfront real estate for other people. If you have a brand or you're a manufacturer and you don't know how to do e-commerce and you think Amazon's a channel for you and it should be your channel, we handle that sales channel management. And we do it for a fee, and it could be a revenue share. So like we have to produce results, and we do it for some of the biggest brands in the world. We do it for Adidas. We do it for Lenovo. We do it for some Berkshire Hathaway brands. We do it for Mongoose and Schwinn and a bunch of bike family brands. We do it for small businesses. We do it for big businesses. We do it for the largest wholesale backpack company in the country. We do it for a bunch of brands and do it very successfully with a great team. And I think the learning curve for me was, you don't have to be in control. You don't have to be the boss. Find someone who's really good at something, give them a structure in which they can succeed, where they don't need your approval, as long as they're going in a certain direction and doing certain results. And let's win together. And that's been great.
So give me some takeaways. You mentioned a few times creating partnerships and maintaining partnerships. Give me some takeaways on that. I mean, you did it then. You even in this instance evolved. You started 3 businesses this year with partners.
Yeah. The takeaway is don't start a business with equal partners. That's almost always ends to a bad situation. Get into a partnership in which whatever value you're putting in or value you're going to continue to provide is the value you're getting in your shares, and make sure you go into it knowing how to get out and have there be a clear number one, or who makes the decision if you hit a certain point, and have very clear paths on how to get out. Go into it as a big person and know that most businesses have to unwind at some point. And so if you do that, I've had a couple of partnerships where I've bought people out, whereas we hit a point where we hit a roadblock. We were friends. We knew at some point we're going to hit this roadblock. So we had very clear terms. If we hit a roadblock, we disagree, someone's going to make an offer. Okay. And the first person makes the offer, and you either accept or you counter the offer at the same number. We call that a baseball clause. And so, hey, I think the value is worth $10. You think it's worth $100. Whoever makes the offer first is on the hook. So then I make an offer. Hey, it's worth $10. You own half the shares. Here's $5, but you have the right to counter me at the same offer, and I have to accept it. Okay. So the person who wants out has to make the offer. The other person can counter. So I have to make a fair offer, because otherwise I'm going to get bought off the same number. So I make an offer. Hey, here's the money. And twice we did a baseball clause, and I was able to exit businesses with friends that would have otherwise turned horribly wrong, in which I was able to make a fair offer. They didn't like my offer. They thought I was worth way more, but they had the rights to buy my shares for the same valuation, walk away, and they weren't able to do it. And we transacted, and to this day, we're friends with both those people. Friendly. Yeah. Still a little strained, but friendly.
You said have a clear number one, and you also said in that basically accept a percentage of the partnership based on the value that you're providing. And that could be that it's less than majority.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Some of these businesses this year, like I'm not running these businesses. Like I'm an investor and an advisor. Like I'm not doing the work. I will tell you what you need to do to be successful, or at least tell you how to be, or where to look, or how to get to the end result. But if you don't do the work, I'm going to lose my money and you're going to lose your company. And that's me making an investment. That's the high risk, high reward investment. So me evaluating how hard that person is going to work and what they're going to do in certain circumstances is critical in the diligence process.
And what are some of the things that you look for when deciding who to be a partner with? What do you look for?
Is the idea good? Is the idea good? What's the path for me to get my money back? And can this person pull it off? I mean, I could go deeper and deeper, but those are the 3 things. Like, do I believe in the global thesis? You might be able to make money, but if I don't like the thesis and you're going to hurt people or it's going to do weird things, like I don't want to put my name on it. Like, do I like the general thesis? Is the operator capable of doing it? And what's the path for me getting my money back? Like I'm looking at a company right now, and they're in the apparel printing business, and I don't want to get too deep in it. And the entrepreneur is fantastic, and he's got a great growth story. But he ended up merging 3 businesses that are completely opposite of each other with a bunch of different random people and a bunch of debt. And he's got a gem with 2 other bolt-on weird looking businesses that are all part of this thing. And I'm like, I want to invest in you and I want to invest in the gem, but you bolted on 2 ugly extremity companies that do something that are so outside of the scope, that have so little upside and so much downside and have so much liability. I don't want to touch this. I don't want to touch it. Right. And I'm not telling you how to run your business, but if you want me to be an investor in the business, you need to cut both those 2 arms off. You need to stay focused on the gem opportunity is here. And you need to stop spending half your time raising money and start selling. Too many entrepreneurs are focused on always raising money. I can't stand that.
You had a major business exit. Not many people can say that.
I got lucky.
You really think you got lucky?
We worked really hard. We built an interesting, a very nice business. We hit a moment in time in the market where there was some skill and preparation and some luck, meaning that each industry goes through some cyclical cycle or explosion at a time. And like today, we're in this AI explosion, which I think is real. And I think it's probably the biggest topic that anyone should be talking about today because it's revolutionizing the world. But there's these moments and these bubbles that happen. And our business as a Amazon aggregator went through a 24-month window in 2020 to 2022. And it was the hottest investment space on the planet. And there was $2 or $3 billion aggregators that were created. And we went to market in this unique window where we had a good, solid business that hit a bubble window. And we basically got 2 to 3 times what that business should be worth or would be worth in today's market. So it was a combination of working really hard and being at the right place at the right time. And I had come off being scared shitless after the pandemic. So it was good timing. I was tired. I'd been doing it for a long time. I saw the world shift. I shifted my belief on how I should be spending my time. COVID happened and this window opened and the timing was perfect.
So I was going to ask you about you and your identity. You know, you're spending 15 years as the operator of this company, the visionary of this company. And the day you sell, you're no longer that. Maybe you stay on with some capacity, but you're no longer that person anymore. And how do you navigate that shift in identity?
I spoke to a lot of entrepreneurs that have gone through this process where they've, changed. I am involved in a bunch of businesses, but releasing the vine of full-time work for a single project has been amazing. I thought it was going to be a little challenging. It's been the best 17 months of my life. I hope not to have to work full-time again. I probably put in full-time efforts to a bunch of projects, but not for one thing with a responsibility. It's been amazing. My identity, I personally, again, I'm involved in a bunch of different projects and a bunch of different things. So
it's like this is the one thing, it's your baby, you're giving it up and you don't really have
it's not so important. I'm just not so important. I used to have people that were begging and calling on me and vendors that were throwing gifts at me and lots of employees that were, I'll do whatever for you, Mr. Howard. And I don't have that anymore. And so, I push admin work to my wife and she gets mad, right? So I'm having to learn how to find processes and systems outside.
You're her employee, by the way.
Oh, yeah. So I'm finding myself really, embracing AI to push off some of these tasks and do things better.
So go there. You mentioned AI is the most significant thing we should be talking about. What are you seeing?
I mean, if there's, I think 2 or 3 take-home value pieces, I think the AI shift is real. I mean, it is as real as anything. And so, I'm 45 years old, just turned 45. There's been 3 revolutionary shifts in my lifetime that have fundamentally changed the fabric of the country and then have changed the fabric of how business is played. Okay. Number 1 was the internet. Okay. Period. The internet has revolutionized the way that we buy, we transact, we communicate, we store records, we do everything. Internet has changed it dramatically. The second one was the smartphone. Okay. The introduction of the iPhone 1 changed the world forever. If you don't know how to use a smartphone, you can't use a train ticket or a plane ticket or a bus ticket. You can't go to a concert. You cannot operate in today's world if you do not know how to use a smartphone, period, hands down. That was a revolutionary shift we all have gone through, major shift. And what just happened was the third one. It just happened. It started what everyone knows now is AI or ChatGPT, but this just happened. This is so big and so revolutionary. And literally, like, every industry is going to be transformed in the next 2 years. Every industry, everyone should be scared shitless. And so here's what's happened. What's happened is that you have created the most powerful tool that any human being has ever been able to carry on their back. Okay. I now have a tool set that I could pull out of my phone very easily, and I could demonstrate for you right now if you want, that make me as good of any artist that you've ever seen, any copywriter, any lawyer, any doctor, any marketer, any HR professional. And I can walk through almost every single industry and tell you how it's going to be disrupted in so many major ways. I'm an entrepreneur. I see dots that connect in the sky that people don't see. I'm not a great operator, but I see visionary shit and I understand how to connect the dots. We just invented oil. Okay. This is like, if you've seen the TV show, The Men Who Built America. Okay. It's in a beautiful 7-part documentary, and it goes through these people that created the railroads, and then they created oil, and then they came up with steel, and these moments in time that revolutionized the fabric of the whole entire planet. Okay. That just happened. We literally just invented oil. Okay. With the use and the tools that are available today with AI, like in every application, I literally spend 2 hours a day on it. If I did 100 Google searches a day last year, I do maybe 3 searches a day today. 3%. My Google search history is down 97% in a year because Google is stupid, because something just came out that was 100 times better in every application. If I walked you through how it could affect your business today, you would say, holy shit, I probably am overstaffed by 20 or 30%. I probably could work half as many hours and be twice as productive. Everything we know is going to change. Like literally, like, a calculator. Like, you can use a calculator on your midterm, or you can't use a calculator in your midterm, and you know how to use it properly. Like, go into a room as a carpenter with no tools versus now you have the tools. Like, every legal document I get, I upload, and in 3 minutes later or 2 minutes later, I have almost every remark better, faster, and quicker than my lawyer would put together. And I can now send him the summary and spend 1/3 of the legal time. I can go ahead and create, I'm having a bar mitzvah coming up, and I'm creating 200 custom cards of custom people's faces that I have to create on a printed card. That would cost me thousands of dollars with a designer and an artist. I can create hundreds of custom pieces of art that are amazing to scale, to spec immediately. I write speeches or respond in ways, take marketing pieces and upload them. On my storefront, my Claw Arcade, I took pictures of the retail fixtures that were in place and uploaded to the right AI software and said, give me 4 examples of how I can convert this from what it is now as a dead space into an interactive space that looks and feels like this. And I have 5 printed out designs that I was able to hand to a designer to print and
run. Did you do that on Chat or a different
So
platform?
If you go into Chat, people don't know this, is you open up the app on Chat, and in the top left-hand corner is a little hamburger box. It's like, think of it as the Apple Store. People think of Chat as just go there and I get some words in, I get some words out. That's like saying Apple just produces like just music. Like that. It's like so off the page.
Right, there's so much
Go
more.
to top left, hit the 3 hamburger button. And there is hundreds of different chats that live inside of ChatGPT. There's a whole ecosphere of image creators. There's a whole ecosphere of writers, of research tools, of schedulers. I saw someone with a great prompt, and you could do this immediately, is an HR. Take your entire HR manual. Okay. You can create a custom chat field. It's like, it would look like ChatGPT, but instead it would say MDL HR. Okay. Branded like that. I could literally create this for you in less than an hour. Okay. The MDL chat box with a URL that goes to mdl.chat.ai. And you can send it out to the office. And any employee that has any questions about your handbook, they ask, how many weeks do I get for paternity? And they put it in the chat box. It responds. You get 2 weeks for the first 10 years and 4 weeks if it's missed this many. What happens if someone assaults me in the office? We recommend you fill out this report and this link. Go here and fill it out. If you feel it crossed this line, report it to this authority. Or if the answer is not in the HR manual, it stops and it takes your tone and look and says, we actually don't have the answer. The proper protocol is to go to this person in the organization to go through it. So I saw someone take a 200-page HR manual, a well-written script and prompt, and replace a 20-person HR staff. Now, you can't really get all 20, but it literally went from 20 to 5 people. And I now have a tool that can answer every single HR request within seconds, exactly to the company's protocol, exactly with the forms and procedures. Okay. We at the agency produce proposals. You produce collateral about shopping centers. You upload your best proposal in certain programs. I gave you examples of different softwares, and you can put your best proposal with your best shopping center or your best deck, have an intake form of the 100 questions you're going to need or 50 questions, and hit enter, takes that information, shoots it to the deck, updates the deck in all the proper forms, and shoots the deck out. We're spending $200,000 a year on 2 sales professionals that are creating decks all day on the agency, all day. Literally, I can get a better quality output with literally getting rid of both those jobs. Now, they don't want to hear that, but the reality is that their job can be done better by a computer. I already have the deck. I basically am just jamming inputs into it. So whoever's in the market research department for your team, I can get better, quicker data and build decks as good as the best real estate professional, quicker and faster than ever done before.
So long as it has the right inputs.
Everything in life is about garbage in or garbage out of the right inputs, right? You have to provide the script and say, listen, I want you to pull population traffic densities from the ODOT site or the NDOT site. I want you to pull the nearest restaurants or retail from this resource. You have to write a good prompt.
How do you
once
think
you write
we
the prompt,
get there, though? How do you think right now you need prompt engineers to understand your business? So take, in my case, 20 years of domain knowledge on commercial real estate.
Yeah.
Get it out of my head, get it into the right chat.
Yeah.
Into the right AI, and then prompt it correctly to do what it needs to do. And then ultimately be there to smooth out any glitches, because it's not bulletproof.
I mean, the correct answer is that you need to, excuse my French, fuck around and figure it out.
Right.
Right. Like literally when you start playing with it, you'll start being able to understand how you can create a conversation. Have you done the audio version of chat?
No, I saw like a video on it.
I'm gonna pull it out because
you mean on the app?
On the app.
Yeah.
You've spoken to it.
Yeah.
You've had conversations back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what we do? So like kids, we're at dinner waiting for the meal. Kids are unruly. I pull it out. I start saying, hey, let's do some jokes or give us some trivia. I'll tell you,
but how about complex level searches, right? Like, for example, today my mom and I were having breakfast and I said, hey, you're in Sun City, Summerlin. You're always talking about early bird places. Watch this. Pull my phone out and say, chat, my mom was in Sun City, Summerlin. She wants early bird restaurants that are 4.5 stars or higher. She wants to drive less than 10 minutes. Okay. And she wants a list of the top 5 rated places in order within a 10-minute drive. Mm-hmm. That's a 4-level complex Google search. It's a zip code search. It's an early bird search. It's a rating search. That's literally a 20-minute project if I actually want to get her the right answers with that search. Within seconds, chat pulls the research, validates the perimeter of the area, pulls the restaurants in from that perimeter, validates from 4 other sites what review counts are 4.5 or higher, then pulls the information from their website, whether early bird special is there, and then reads them to me with email addresses, phone numbers, and addresses with what their promotion is, with their top 3 items in audio format while I'm sitting there for breakfast.
So it's an executive assistant on steroids, used correctly in that example.
In that example, it is the world's greatest. It's the world's greatest admin. In the example where I was in the hospital recently and I had medical results given to me, I took pictures of the results that was straight gibberish, and I said, if I was the husband or wife of this patient, what should I be concerned about and why? And it goes and reads the entire medical sheet that literally another doctor told me they could not read because they couldn't read the information on the sheet because of the way it was presented. Chet read it, gave me an output that told me exactly what they'd be concerned about, why, and then actually referenced the doctor's handwritten annotations on the picture I just took. And then I was able to ask complex questions about that and went down a rabbit hole asking questions about it. I upload legal documents. We always look to buy or sell companies, and I get NDAs. I get deal offer memorandums. I upload them and say, what terms are not normal or standard? What jumps out at you? What should I be concerned with? I can use Clyde AI to do that. I can create a custom song right now for the MDL group that's as good as any song you've ever heard in a rap, in a reggae, in a country style format about this podcast, have it produced in less than 2 minutes, play it for you right now, and you'd be like, holy shit. The same song that I bought my wife for her anniversary 2 years ago, I paid $500 on a site called Songfish, and now is gone. That website might as well be worthless. Why am I now going to go to a site and pay to have someone pay $500 to have a custom song created for my spouse and choose between 200 artists when I can do it for free on suno.com, suno.com, and I can create the best song immediately within seconds and have 20 different variations for it. So my whole takeaway is that every industry is going to be disrupted in a unbelievable manner. And there are a few places you can start learning about it. You can go to some AI institutes. One's called VJAY Institute, VJAY.ai, I think is it. Let me give you the go-to place, what I believe is the go-to place at the current phase. And I wrote it down because it's not the easiest to remember. I think it's the VJAY Institute, VJAIL.ai. I'll get it for you. I'll take it out. So
ask chat what it is.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. It's a great answer. We'll pull right off a chat here. Hey, chat, I'm looking to give a friend a reference on the top place to learn about AI. I believe there is an institute, the VJAL Institute.ai, VJAL.ai. Can you tell me what site that is and what is that institute?
You want with the male voice?
Absolutely, Sam. If you're looking for a reputable place to learn about AI best practices, I recommend checking out the courses offered by Coursera, particularly the ones provided.
This one's calling Coursera. There's a bunch of different resources. There's a bunch of different resources. I will follow up with the name. There's a specific institute that's been teaching YPOers, and I think the guy and his course is great. And I'll get you there.
Yeah, send me that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Have you done any of these institutes?
I went to a few trainings of his. I haven't been to a full institute. I was going to go to one in London, but I haven't been there. I would say on a 1 to 10 scale, I am probably a 3. And most people I talk to are like, holy shit, you know way more. And you can see how my company could be disrupted and you can see ways. And I would say I'm probably a deadly of a 3, but everyone should be spending an hour a day. It literally is changing the fabric of the world. If you do not figure it out and you avoid it, it would be like you turning a smartphone away and saying, I don't think that's going to help me. I don't think that's going to be where I need to be. Mm-hmm. It is inning 1. And by 2 years from now, I think we're literally, if you haven't embraced it, you're way behind.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't think it's going to replace a ton of jobs right out of the gate. I think what it will do is if you're interviewing people and they have AI experience, it's kind of like a few years ago, if you had social media experience, you were getting a job because you could do the job and you could do this too. I think it's going to become a requirement.
I mean, I think it creates jobs. I think there's a lot of jobs it's going to eliminate, but at the same point in time, it's eliminating jobs out here, but it's creating different kinds of jobs. There is no doubt that technology is good enough in today's world to eliminate, in my opinion, a quarter of all jobs. Mm-hmm. However, as we create those jobs with the technology and the products that we're creating and the economic engine we're creating of all the things that come along with that AI ecosphere, you're creating net 25% more jobs. Mm-hmm. You're just moving jobs up the food chain. You're going to have less and less manual jobs that are repetitive, less and less jobs in certain areas. That's my take.
You mentioned going to London. I know that you're a world traveler. Where does that come from?
It comes from the belief. That the best time in your life to travel and to do things and to be active is the middle third of your life. And so I've always wanted to see the world. I never traveled a ton as a kid, went to a few countries. But I developed this understanding of how big the world is and how little of the world I know and how sheltered I have been as an individual. And through my growth and through different organizations and through exposure to people in places, I've really developed a passion for traveling. So I've traveled to 38 countries. I'm trying to get to 50 before I'm 50. So I got some work to do. Hit 6 countries already this year. Was supposed to hit a 7th one, but unfortunately couldn't make it, last week or two. Big on travel at this point. My kids, My goal is to have them visit more countries than they are ages. So before my kids turn 18, I want to make sure they've hit 18 countries. My 7-year-old's already been to 7 or 8 countries. Very big on seeing the world and understanding how different and how privileged most of us are in America.
What's your process as far as like selecting the country? Once you select it, how do you ensure that you're actually seeing it and not just getting caught in tourist traps?
Yeah. So I've been fortunate enough where I've traveled in a few different capacities, traveled as part of business groups, traveled as part of family groups. And I actually annually set goals around time I'm going to spend with my spouse, time I'm going to spend with each one of my children individually, as a family, and then on professional development or business type travel. So I actually every year set goals on how many places I'm going to see or do. Cause I think it's important to segment them by grouping, but how to make sure I'm getting the best out of a country. Sometimes I maybe don't see a country as well and I'm on a different type of trip. And sometimes I get really deep in the fabric of a country. But some countries have changed me fundamentally. Like, I traveled a bunch to China as part of work. And, that changed me in some capacities where about child labor and about health standards, and about communism and about, just some global things about how people are managed or politics or media. But then I go to some place like, Delhi or in throughout India, and your life fundamentally changes and you're like, holy shit. Like, I thought like if you're an American with a passport, in my opinion, you're already one of the top 5% of all people on the planet. Okay. If you're an American with a passport, and half Americans don't have passports, but if you're an American with a passport and you can travel freely and you're broke and don't have a job, but you have those two things, you're better than 95% of the world. Like maybe I'm off by a slight degree here, but like, that's what I've found while traveling the world. When I go to India and see tens of thousands of people living on the side of the road, like tens of thousands, like on major highways and freeways, and you have 4-lane roads and there's cows and donkeys and rickshaws and people living everywhere on no money, people cutting their eyes out purposely to make money. Like you see the craziest things and you're like, man, doesn't matter what the hell, I could go bankrupt. I could be on unemployment and not have a job and, just barely getting by. Like I'm still better than like this huge portion of the population that just doesn't have doesn't have a system or a government or the means to provide for their people. Yeah. Sorry, I run on a rabbit hole there.
No, that's the whole point of this thing. When I travel, there's a couple of barriers that I hit, mostly mental barriers. Like one, the logistics of it all. The research and planning of it all. Those are not things that excite me to the point where I don't want to do them.
Yeah.
Like my best case scenario is somebody in the group is an owl on the disc profile.
Yeah.
Loves to research, loves to plan. It's like, here's my credit card. Here's what it cost. And it's all taken care of.
I found those kind of a few kind of trips, right? When you go with your family and you can't afford to fail. Right. Where if you go with your family and you hit a country and you go to the wrong hotel, the wrong area and shit goes bad, you are blamed for everything. There's a high risk there. I will pay for a travel agent. And that sounds archaic and I can get great itineraries from chat, but there's certain things that I can't do and I will hire a travel agent. And I've hired a travel agent 3 of our last major family trips. We hired a travel agent because the failure was too high. If I fail with the whole family on vacation for 2 weeks and we start off terrible and the wife and kids are terrible for the first 3 days, this is going to be a terrible trip and it's going to cost me a ton of money and it's going to suck. Right. So in that environment, I hire the travel.
You're paying for the expertise. You're paying for the research and the admin.
And when I go with the professional business group and we're going to travel, we either reach out to local guides. We have a few things planned, but God forbid the hotel sucks. We'll cancel and move to the next hotel and no one's going to cry about it and we'll just move on. Right. We'll book some things, but the failure rate and the downside is okay, this restaurant sucked, this hotel sucked, this thing, but you can usually vet the top few items.
Mhm.
And then for us, the key has been to reach out to local resources. And if you belong to Vistage or EO or YPO or Tiger 21 or any of these groups, there's usually a national roster, and you can almost find anyone in any country, and they love to connect with you. And if you reach out, you can open amazing doors. I've been very fortunate to open doors all around the world. I was recently in the Philippines, and I reached out to a YPOer, and the guy happened to own Jollibee and happened to own the largest, fastest growing franchise in the world. And he happened to be a YPO, and I pinged him out of the blue and said, I'm coming with my group and we're going to be here. And I love your story. And he's the fourth richest guy in the whole country. And he was like, I'm going to host you guys at the nicest restaurant, roll the red carpet out for you. And we had a 5-star meal with Ernesto Tan, the CEO and family owner of the Jollibee Corporation. And I have countless stories where we just reached out to local resources that were part of our business group. Now, everyone doesn't have those same resources. But I mean, reach out, read blogs, use Viator, and, ChatGPT is a great resource.
That's another thing about you is I don't want to say you collect people, but you collect people. You make it a point to overtly meet people that they're kind of in your sphere, but not directly in your sphere, to get to know them, to build a relationship, and not with an agenda. This is me as an outsider looking in, so to speak. It's not like you're saying, I want to meet so-and-so because I've got a deal to pitch them, or I want to meet so-and-so because whatever. I just want to meet so-and-so. Am I on track there?
No, I mean, I would say one of my unique skills is the ability to connect people and to understand, that everybody has a power and everybody has some sort of sphere of influence, and, being around those influences and having those connections can open doors in the future for whatever it might be. So I have very few, projects that I need to run after to generate money at this point. But I want to help the community get deeper. Or I want to help build things in the community, or I want to, help, make the school system better, or whatever my mission is to make things better. I want to meet people that have similar interests or can actually move the needle on those things. And not that I don't want to meet other people, but it's important that I meet people that have aspirations, they have ability, and they have the ability to create sphere of influence.
So two early memories of you. I think we first met because we were introduced by the head of the Federation at the time, the Jewish Federation. We had lunch at Brio over here at Town Square. The second memory, I was at I don't know what to call it. It's not a junket or a session or whatever. The city of North Las Vegas was hosting like a day and kind of like a market update sort of a thing. And they brought you in as a speaker, as a local business owner, to talk about what you're doing. But I remember when we had lunch and we're talking about the Federation. So the Jewish Federation is like an umbrella fundraising organization, not just for the Jewish community and Jewish causes, but primarily. So they raise money and they fund things ranging from, helping new families with their babies, early childhood education, all the way up through anything you can imagine, food banks, all the way through to, caring for our senior citizens and Holocaust survivors. So I made a snarky comment to you. I don't know if you remember this or not. Something about, I don't know, like, oh, I'm not, it was either like they always want money or they always have their hand out kind of a thing. And you put me in my place. You said, that's correct. They are a fundraising organization, and us being people that are active in the community and benefiting from this community should give back to the community. You remember that?
I not totally. I don't remember that, but I'm glad I made an impression on you.
It was cool. It was like, you made I wasn't scared straight, but straighten up a little bit. I was younger. It was an immature comment. It was a snarky kind of a thing. And it was like, get serious. I was a philanthropist already. I just didn't have the money to give. I always gave what I could. I gave my time. I gave my effort. And it's like, people like us, this is what we do.
So I had a moment. I was in the Columbus, Ohio market when I first started my first business, and I got wrapped up in my first mission trip when I was like 23 or 4, and they paid for my mission trip. I was working in this truckside advertising company. I just started making $30,000 a year, And they invested in me, and they're like, we want you to come on this trip. And I'm like, I can't afford to come on this trip. And they're like, that's fine. We're going to pay for the trip. It's business leaders. This is not like a handout trip. You're a business leader. You have a new business you started in the community. We're going to pay for it. And I was like, this is amazing. And I went on my first mission trip to Israel. It wasn't birthright. It was paid for by the Columbus Jewish Federation. And I met like 100 business leaders and got super plugged in and met all the who's who in Columbus. And it was amazing. And then I came back, and then I remember the campaign chair coming to me next year and was like, you're going to give $1,800. And I was like, oh, excuse me? I mean, last year I made it giving you $100, and I told you I couldn't even afford the trip to Israel. And they said, we understand. We understand that you have a job and that you have it in your small business. We expect you to give $1,800 this year. And it was a weird moment. And it sat with me, and I was like, man, they did invest in me. They invested in me ahead of time, and they hoped it was going to pay off. And they came back and they told me what was expected of me as their investment and investment in the community. It wasn't even the full payback. And the way they did it was slightly offensive, but I got over the offensive part and said, you know what? This is like, they're right. They're right. They invested in me in the community. They didn't need to do that. And from that moment on, we became givers. We became believers. And my wife has a story with her grandmother in the Holocaust. So we've got a lot of ties to why we give to Jewish causes. But for us, to build a better community, we have to give back. And sadly, in the Las Vegas market, across the board, we are an unphilanthropic city, period. We are unphilanthropic. We punch our weight in almost everything, in food and entertainment and in gambling and other most industries. And we are behind in philanthropy. Across the board, in almost every single philanthropy piece, we are behind. The Jewish Nevada raises $2.5 million a year. Cleveland, Ohio raises $30 million a year. $30 million, like not even a few $1 million more, like the same size market. Like they're almost a 2.5 million person market, 2.9 or 2 and change.
Why do you think
like
that
astronomical? There's a couple of reasons. I mean, I think one is the city's very new and doesn't have the history and the roots of some of those other cities, most of those cities that have those kind of dollars. Mm-hmm. And two, there's a lot of transient people, and a lot of folks that don't necessarily raise their hand into the population or community. It's getting better. As people live here, as people grow families here, as people can say they lived here or born here, there wasn't many of those people years ago. And so that, we're getting better, but we're still way, way behind. So I'm going to try to do my part to try to, twist arms where I can and let people understand that, don't wait until you're on your dying bed to give your money. Give your money so you can see impact over time. And, step up and give now. The community could use it, and your time, money, resources, whatever you can provide.
Here's what's interesting that I've learned. In the fundraising world, philanthropy, it's called soliciting. I'm soliciting a gift. I'm soliciting a donation. Typically, it's done by the organization professionals and the volunteers who sign up to do the solicitation. Typically, board members are expected to solicit.
Yep.
When you sit down with someone, you know this because you're campaign chair, but this is what occurred to me. Most people are uncomfortable soliciting. I will give you my money. I will help you plan the events. Maybe I'll ask someone to donate something for the silent auction, but to sit down with someone face to face, like they did with you and said, this is what we'd like for you to give. People are just super uncomfortable about that.
Yeah.
What occurs to me is that it is a transaction, but it's not like the solicitor is gaining something. The solicitor is making an offer in a way to the donor, to the prospective donor. When you give, you're getting something in return. You're getting a feeling of whatever it is. Someone invested in me once. I can pay this back now. I have been blessed. I want to be able to give back and help somebody else. When you give money, you're getting something in return. And it's really not a solicitation. It's more of I'm giving you a gift, a feeling. However it is, you're going to feel and why you're going to feel it. I'm giving you the opportunity and the platform to do that.
That's right. I think where a lot of organizations fall flat is that people want different types of feelings, and they don't know what feelings they want. And in some regard, if you're going to be a successful organization, you need to do some diligence and digging on about what is the hot button for the individuals. And so that's what I'm trying to help the organization look at is you can't just go around and asking people for $1,000 with a straight face and just ask them for money, even though it's for good and they might feel good about it. You still need to make the connection personable, and you need to tie it to them individually. And that usually softens them up to a much bigger potential. And so, when you hit your big dollar donors or folks that have the potential, you really need a professional to go out there. This is where I differ with kind of the organization, because I think our professionals should be paid like business professionals, like sales professionals. Like the best nonprofits are run like a real true business, and the leaders get paid $500,000, but that's because the company's $50 million or it's a big size scale business. And some of these nonprofits, they have caps on what people should get paid. And for me, it's about performance. And if you're a fundraising organization like Jewish Nevada, if you raise 5 million or you raise 2 million, that's a big difference. And you can do more in the community and more impact and more deliverables. And if you want the best talent, you should pay a percentage of the money you're raising. And that's a business way to look at it, not a community way to look at it.
Yep. That's a hard thing to do also, because I don't know enough about the back end of nonprofits, but I know that there is a rating and how efficiently you're using the funds that you're donating and how much of it goes to the cause versus to overhead. So I think that could probably skew some of those ratios.
It doesn't screw the fundamental piece that the most successful nonprofits, if you look almost nationwide, are the ones that are run like a business. Look at the biggest ones here in the Valley, and the biggest ones, Goodwill is going to be at the top of the list, and they run it like a business. And that, like, they inventory comes in, they have a certain profit margin, they hire people, they make a certain amount of money. The CEO can get paid a ton of money because they're running a big operation, a big organization, and it's run like a business. And some of the organizations are not run that way. So again, I'm trying to bring some of those principles to the organization without tipping the scale, to your point, where it becomes too much.
So you kind of touched on a couple of things when you talked about, just in philanthropy, don't wait until your dying moment to give and see the benefits of that. You talked earlier about the best time to travel is kind of, midlife, as opposed to work, save. And then when you're, not mobile or as mobile, then try to see the world. And I also know about you that you're a bucket list enthusiast. You're a person that this is not just a cliche.
Yeah.
You actually have a bucket list and you set goals around checking things off.
I brought it for you, by the way. I brought it for you. I actually realized it was an older version. So, but I did bring it, and I crossed off some of the.
So it says Brad and Melanie's bucket list. Yeah, it's not just yours; it's yours and your wife.
Yeah, that's important. A bucket list that's created in a vacuum it causes problems, confrontations, and issues. So that's a key point.
When is the last time you can say you did something for the first time? Is in quotes here. Created October 2018. And there's basically lists. It's multiple lists with headlines. The first one being just because. You got personal development, feeling good stuff, kids, things we want to own or have. Funny, you want to own a restaurant? Have you? I'm going to pitch you a couple of ideas. I got some good ideas on restaurants.
I'm still not ready to lose the money on a restaurant.
Places to things see. I think you have a typo here. Places and things to see. You got activities involving machines, physical activities, culture, sports, and arts. So how did you come up with this idea? Was there like a speaker or a facilitator? How did you and your wife populate this?
Yeah. So again, if there's 3 takeaways from the whole podcast, these 3 places I value I can add. One is you don't miss the AI revolution. It's transforming. 2 is I believe a bucket list is today's bank account. I don't care how much money you have. I'd much rather be with someone who's got a very interesting set of things they've accomplished, done, seen, been a part of, helped, or influenced than what someone's bank account. So I believe that a bucket list is a bank account. You call your bucket list of things of moments of time and things that you've created or achieved. And so this bucket list is a bunch of things combined. So first off, I realized that when you do your own bucket list in a vacuum, your list and my list are completely different. So the best way to do this is to do it with the group, do a bucket list, and then share. Because one person goes down a rabbit hole on all these things they wanted to do over here, and you completely didn't even think about that. So I'm really big on R&Ding things, which is rip off and duplicate. And so I've gone through a few bucket list exercises with folks like Jack Daly and Cameron Harold, some top people that build bucket lists. They do them in different fashion. Took that idea, took my bucket list, brought it to a forum experience where we all create our own bucket list, and then realized there's fundamental groupings of categories of things that most people don't think about. So the first structure is create a bucket list. Make sure you have the categories right before you start filling in shit. What's important to you right now? My bucket list. For me, it was things to see, things to own, philanthropy, and then articulating them and putting them on paper, I think, is where people get scared. They don't want to create a bucket list. And what happens is that they never create it, and they end up getting later in life, and then it becomes this random concept.
It's a list of regrets.
Right. So create one early, make it big and audacious, and then publicize it. Send it to your friends and family, encourage people to look at it, because what ends up happening is people say, oh, I know that person, or I can help you achieve that goal, or yeah. And so I put checks next to ones. This is from 2008. I just this morning was kind of going through it real quick, and you can see I don't know, a fourth or a fifth of the list since 2008 has been crossed off. And because I every year pull it out, think about it, consciously think about it, and say, you know what? Like, I haven't been to 50 states. It's been on my list for years. I still haven't been to North Dakota and South Dakota. So guess what? For July 4th, the family and I are going to Mount Rushmore. It's been on my list for a number of years. It's not that hard to get to. It's a quick flight. I would have thought about, forgotten about it, and there it is. So I believe a bucket list is today's modern day bank account. I believe that everyone should have one. I believe it should be robust. I think you should share it with the world, and it doesn't have to be what mine is. Rip off and duplicate what you think your bucket list should be, and build it and share it, and you'd be surprised how much your life will change.
I was going to ask you, when you were talking about that you're an expert on Amazon, have you met Jeff Bezos? And I see here you have on your Just Because, meet an active president, meet LeBron James, meet Elon Musk, meet Jeff Bezos, meet Mark Zuckerberg, and it's not checked off over here.
Not checked off. Never met him. I've never met him. Still on my list. Still interested.
Dog sled in the winter. You did that?
Yeah, I just did that recently.
Did Melanie do it too? Or is that not for
No, I went on a father-son. I went on a father-son trip. And by the way, as part of this journey, so the three takeaways is the bucket list is today's bank account, is AI is critical. And the third piece is try to semi-retire in the middle third of your life. Okay. Yeah. Retire or semi-retire. And I know it's not possible for a lot of people. But when I say semi-retire, like, this is the one statistic that blew me away that everyone should think about, that is critical, is that if you have kids, 90% of the time you spend with your kids will happen before the age of 18. I mean, 90% of the time you'll spend with your kids is before the age of 18. I mean, for someone who's got 3 kids, that is a scary fact. I have 3 kids. My 13-year-old, literally, I have 4 years left with that child. And I've literally spent 90% of every moment I will ever spend with my child is over. So between the ages of 3 and 17 of your child's development or life, those are the most important 13 years of your life. And most people are in the grind of building a business or working or grinding away. And by the time they realize what the fuck happened, their kids are now 18 or in college, and they're now empty nesters, and they're now having to figure out, do they want to be with their wives anymore or not, because they're empty nesters, and their life and their kids are now gone. And they're like, what the hell did I do with my life? And so the epiphany is that, like, between the ages of 3 and 17, invest every possible penny you can, every second you can with your child, and stop chasing whatever you're chasing. And maybe that's, if you have to work, maybe that's working 9 to 4 versus working 7 to 6. It's being there in the morning and dropping them off. It's being there when they come home at the end of the day to school. It's this epiphany, and that, like, what the hell are you doing? What does your life really mean when you look back at it? Because at the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed, the only thing that matters is who you loved, who loved you, and whatever memories you have about your life. That's it. There's only 3 things that you have: who loved you, who you loved, and whatever memories of cool things you've done in your life. And so, like, that's it. It's all that matters. Nothing else matters. And so people go through this middle period. So I say semi-retire or retire in the middle years of your life, and then get back to work if you need to. But don't miss those years.
You want to do some rapid fire takeaways?
Shoot. Yeah. I mean, from you or from me here?
What are some critical tips or non-negotiables for building a team?
Ethics, morals, are critical. ethics and morals. If the person, I can't trust the person, if they don't do what they say they're going to do, if they don't, show up and be reliable, it's number one. Hands down. Non-negotiable.
So I'm a new CEO. What are the first 3 things you would advise me to do or focus on?
Have you been in the organization for a while, or were you newly implemented in?
I've been here for a while.
Okay. So you know the systems, the people, so you don't need to stop and peruse. I would focus on creating your VTO, and I don't mean to speak in jargon.
Yeah.
I know
Vision,
you speak
traction,
the traction.
organizer.
Yeah. I would make sure that you set the vision, and then make sure that the team is bought into the vision. Number one, where the hell are we going to go? And I think that's, as a CEO, as a young CEO that was building a very fast growing tech company, I had a video in my head that was playing all day, exactly where I was driving the bus. And I would make decisions, and everyone behind me on the team was like, why is he saying that? Why is he making us buy this? Why is he selling this? Why is he doing this? And they didn't understand why I was launching new websites or why I was doing this. And I realized that the video that plays in my head as a visionary wasn't playing for everybody else in the back of the bus. And so I had to create a painted picture. I don't know if you ever heard of the concept of painted picture. Painted picture is literally taking the VTO, where you're going to be in 3 to 5 years, and creating a video for the staff. And so Cameron Harold was the one who introduced the concept of the painted picture. This came from the MIT training, and it was blended with traction. It was taking your VTO, or vision traction organizer, where we're going to go the next 5 years, what we look like, how many employees we have, how big we're going to be, whether we're going to be public, how much money we're going to make, and putting it into a video that you can play to everybody in the staff, and a new person who walks in the organization can watch the video and say, that's where we're going. That's how big we're going to be. That's how big the team's going to be. That's what we're going to smell like. That's what we're going to look like. So create a vision, but then create a video that allows
Can I use AI to create this video?
The AI tools to go from text to video are in place. And I actually messed with one last night. I actually uploaded my bucket list into it, and it created a 30-second video for me. It's not good enough for game time. It is good enough for amateur hour. You could write the script very easily for your painted picture. You take your VTO, you drop it in, say, I want to communicate to this staff, this audience, this message, and you can have a beautiful script written out. You then need to take that script and take it to someone who is either really good with AI, or just would kind of help you take a few pictures and kind of blend things together. Very easy to do in today's world, but I don't think there's a tool yet that is so turnkey where we could just do a painted picture. I could share a painted picture example with you. Hugely helpful for the staff, unbelievably helpful. So vision number one, as a new CEO, create the vision, get the buy-in, and move to a system. Whether it's scaling up, whether it's traction, or a corporate system, have a system to manage and track people and make sure everyone in the organization is tracked and measured. So vision, make sure everyone knows what they're measured on, how they're measured, have a cadence, and have an operating system. Those are my 3 takeaways.
All right. How does someone cultivate their curiosity for world travel?
I think you do it in a few different ways. I think the best way is just to pick a country and go and explore and see and do. There are plenty of blogs and forums and places online. For example, my family wants to try a new country. We haven't been to some places. So yesterday I was playing around with chat, and we want to go in December for winter break. And so the family's been dying to go to Japan. I've been there a bunch of times. I'd love to go back. I think of Tokyo as one of the best places on the earth. I would go back there 100 times, even before I go to some new places, which is weird because I want to see new places, but it's super cold in December. So chat said, hey, go to South America. Awesome. I haven't been to a lot of places in South America. So we looked at South America, and then we said, okay, we're looking at 3 countries. We're interested in Chile, Argentina, and Brazil. I went to chat and said, I want to spend 14 days in Chile, Argentina, and Brazil. And chat gave me an itinerary. My wife was sitting next to me, and she's like, holy Toledo, did you hear that? They mentioned flight like 6 times. I don't want to fly 6 times. So I told Chad, hey, Chad, I'm sorry. My wife has flipped the lid on me. I literally told Chad, I said, flip the lid on me. Let's get rid of one of these countries. I can only go to 2 countries. We need to minimize travel and give me other solutions instead of airplane travel. So we identify we want to go to Argentina. We're going to go to Argentina and Brazil. We're going to do it over 14 days. Chat told me which days to be in which countries based upon the local activities and local festivals. Chat told me about the some activities I must do and had to do, and explained why, built the itinerary for me. And so we're going to go to Central America, and we're going to go to Brazil, and we're going to go to Argentina. And I got some business in Argentina with this one company I co-founded. So that's cool. Got the write-off part of the expense. And we're going to go to Central America, and we're going to see those two countries.
So if someone's never left the US, what are the first 3 destinations you'd recommend?
I would say get a passport. Because half of Americans
Once
don't
you
have
get a passport,
Once
you get a passport, you're better than 95.
And you want to travel, I would start first off with what's your budget, because some places are just unrealistic to go to without a budget. So you have to start with budget, and then so we just kind of go down the parameters. Okay, so we have a budget, and then what time of the year you're going to go. Because the time of the year you're going to go is going to affect, you don't want to go freeze your ass off in some places it's not comfortable. So budget, month or time you're going to travel, weather considerations. You just eliminated half the countries or half the places. And a lot of people haven't traveled many places in the US. I find that the average person travels to about 4 states. So a lot of times I'll challenge somebody to not travel international and say, hey, go hit 3 national monuments, or go see a baseball game on the East Coast. Like, I am blown away by how many people haven't left the state of Nevada, or haven't gone to multi states, or traveling for the first time on an airplane. So,
Brad, it's not the question.
Dollars,
leaving the U.S.
Time. So,
I've got all the money in the world. I've got all the time. Top 3, first 3, not top 3, first 3.
First 3. And I've only been to 37 countries. So, you have to excuse the fact that I haven't been to a lot. So I'm going to give you my skewed view. I think extremely highly of Japan. It's easy to get around. Currency valuations are good. It's very modernized, low impact, but high culture difference. Low impact, high culture difference.
What does low impact mean?
Low impact means I can show up as an American with money in my pocket and a passport, and I can understand what's happening. Everything's modernized. I'm not in some third world country. I can get around with transportation easy. I can eat without having major discomfort. I can build an itinerary and I can experience it. I go to China and I run into places where no one speaks English, and transportation is all shady drivers, and there's homeless people everywhere, and either there's factories, and I go down a wrong corner and I could be mugged or killed somewhere in Colombia. And so there's low impact and high impact countries.
Got it. Okay.
So, Japan, low impact, but high culture awareness, right? I go to Canada, it's low culture awareness. It's basically the US, right? But easy to get to. Right. So I kind of value, kind of this spectrum of, so I would recommend Japan, great impact, amazing culture value, but low impact. I would tell you that I think high resistance, hard trip to do, but will change your life, is India. It's hard. Everything about it is hard. I mean, the minute you come off the airplane, it just smells different, and it never goes away for the entire time you're there. And the filth on your skin never goes away. And you could be in the fanciest restaurant and you could be spending the fanciest bill, but the second you walk outside, it's a different place, but it changes your outlook on life. So Japan, high impact, beautiful, amazing to go to. I think Europe is great. I think Spain is fantastic. I know you were just in Europe. Fantastic, easy, low impact, low,
Interesting what you said. So we went on a cruise recently. It's what you're talking about. We started in Spain, in Barcelona for a few days, then got on the cruise ship and went to 9 different places or something like that. And even within Italy, and the 4 stops in Italy, it's like some were low impact. I felt fine. I could navigate, no big issues. And then some places I'm like, I feel like a foreigner and I don't know how to navigate.
I went to Vietnam and with a group a couple of years ago, and there was 8 of us, and we hired a driver and we went into the jungle, and it was a 3-day trek through the jungle in a Mercedes high-end Sprinter van. And we went in the farthest jungles, in the deepest parts. Roads got washed out. We ended up having to abandon this Mercedes Sprinter van. We ended up in the middle. I mean, like the most crazy pictures. And we end up looking over this waterfall, and there's 2 kids that are there skipping rocks, and they're wearing shoddy clothes in the middle of nowhere, Vietnam. And we have this most amazing view, and we walk over, and the kids they don't speak any English. And the one kid turns and looks at us, and we almost fell over. We're like, holy shit, what's it on his neck? he had a metal chain choker neck, almost like what you see on a cow. And it was like it was a chain front with a hard metal backing with kind of two twist poles. And our guide was like, they're part of this indigenous people that live here. There's 1 million of them up here in the mountains. And I'm like, this kid looked like he's a slave. Like he's wearing a slave collar. And she's like, that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. And so like these moments, and I get a picture with this kid, and he wasn't begging for money, and he's just skipping rocks on this overlook. And it was just like, you go places and you see things and it changes your whole perspective. You're like, in today's world, there's slaves that are outside, 10-hour drive outside of, outside of wherever we were, somewhere deep in the woods of Vietnam. And it just changes you. But with the family, Europe, a lot of places in Europe, I think France, I think London, I think Spain are all great. Barcelona's amazing. Japan's a great low impact trip. Dubai was surprisingly awesome to go to. I'd recommend going to Dubai. Super interesting. They've done amazing things. Singapore is a little bougie. I would say Dubai, Tokyo or UAE and Dubai, Japan, and you can't go wrong with Spain. That's the 3 I give you. Sorry for a long answer there.
Well, clearly you're passionate about this. What's your Mount Rushmore for coin-operated games?
My Mount Rushmore. So on my bucket list, it says own a few different games. So like Medieval Madness, The Addams Family. I'm currently searching out a Jersey Jack, Willy Wonka machine right now. But I'm used to collecting like beat up old games, and now I'm done with the maintenance of them. So I'm getting ready to start changing over my arcade to like modern, newer games because I'm just tired of games breaking down.
All right. I got one final question before I ask. Is there anything else you want to share or talk about?
No, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. I know I'm not a real estate professional. I know I'm not a politician. I'm just an entrepreneur hustling here in Vegas, trying to do good things. So I appreciate you giving me air and thinking I'm a qualified guest today.
All right. Ending question. What's the most impactful takeaway you would want your children to learn from you and carry with them for the rest of their lives?
In this exact moment, it's about AI. It really is, because the schools are saying, no, don't do it. And the kids are seeing how powerful it is. So the exact moment, but like a global takeaway from dad to their children. It's gotta be about, leaving the world a better place, whatever that means to them as an individual, leaving the world a better place. It's like, leaving some sort of legacy, or again, just making it a better place. And it's different from each one of my kids' eyes. One might be an educator and one might be an entrepreneur, but like leaving the world a better place, and whatever that is to you, being a good human being with the focus of leaving the world a better place. That's my takeaway.
It's a great message. And I know that you are living that message with the businesses that you've created, the people that you've impacted with those, certainly your work in the community that I get to see firsthand quite a bit. So thank you, Brad, for leaving the world a better place.
I'm trying.
Thank you for listening. I would love to hear from you about your takeaways from this episode. Make sure to leave us a comment or leave us a review. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can hear future episodes as they come out. My name is Hayim. Tune in next time.